Happy, beautiful day. It's Pete Cohen. Welcome to the Pete Cohen podcast. Today's podcast is called Making Your Invention Your Reinvention. Or should I say making your reinvention your invention? Who knows? Join me after the theme tune.
The big question is, how are some people in the world today creating the results they want with their health, wealth, and happiness? What exactly are these people doing? This podcast will give you the answers and inspire you to live the life that you want today.
Happy, beautiful day. It's Pete Cohen here. Thank you so much for joining me for another Pete Cohen podcast. We've just come off the back of a series of 4 podcasts about how to create the movie of your life, and I'm delighted to say that we have been receiving lots of emails from people actually contacting me personally, people I know, friends and family that are listening along, and it's really interesting because one of the questions I've been asked 2 or 3 times is about, well, can you really reinvent yourself? Because if you're talking about making a movie of your own life, in actual fact, what you're kind of doing is looking to bring a new version of yourself into the world. So I thought it would be a really good idea to really look at that whole thing of, can you reinvent yourself? You know, if there's something wrong with something you own, especially with something technological, you can always go and change it or they'll repair it. You know, there's always an updated version of you know, I'm on now I think I'm on the iPhone 8. And, you know, soon I'll probably be on the iPhone 11 because I'm going to bypass 10. But we're always able to kind of upgrade certain things as things get improved upon. And I suppose we have that ability to do that with our minds and our bodies, even though these things don't last forever. But you know how, like, we throw so many things away. If I look at all of the technology I've had and how I don't use that, from the ZX80 that I had in 1980 to all of the computers I've had, all of the phones I've had, or the televisions I've had, that have all just gone because I didn't need them because something else came out better. You know, with us, we have to stick with what we have to a certain extent, but there is still so much that we can do to upgrade, to reinvent, to bring a better version of us into the world. And what I want to discuss with you today is really important to me personally because of some of the work that I'm doing right now, and just how I believe that everyone has this incredible ability to manifest something better than what they have today. I'd love to know from more people if people are coming from a similar belief to me, that the root of all suffering for most people living in a modern world is not being able to be who you are capable of being. Look, as long as you've got food on your table and you've got shelter, what is really important? And I know that's a big question to ask, but, you know, as a coach, that's what a good coach does, right? A coach just asks questions. Like, you are where you are. Where do you want to be? How do we close that gap? How do we begin to recognize what's holding us back? I think that the reason we are here on this earth, well, it's up to us. You know, you ask people, what's the meaning of life? Well, I think it's the meaning you give it. And the meaning that most of us give it is the meaning that we've given it in the past. For us to think forwards, for us to get excited about possibility, about what we can do, is a big challenge for a lot of people because A, they've not practiced it, and B, they have a certain way of thinking about it. And I really want to bring this to the fore by giving you a few examples of things that are going on for me right now. So I'm a high performance coach. I love to work with individuals and I love to work with teams. And I read a quote the other day by Teddy Roosevelt, former US president, saying, you know, one of the greatest joys in life is being able to find something that you love doing and to get better at it. And then the author who was writing about him was saying, take that to another level, is where you get to do that with a group of people, where there's a group of you that all of you have the opportunity to get better, but then put that all together, you have an opportunity to make a team get better. And I'm working with a professional sports team at the moment. And I've done a couple of talks with them. And I've actually asked them now to really start to think about the person that they want to become, to identify with the player that they have the capability of becoming. And it's a massive block for a lot of these people. It's like the whole room just goes quiet. And, must admit, this isn't something I'm a stranger to, because when I present in the corporate world and you're asking people to talk about how they think, how they feel, invariably what you're asking people to do is share a weakness, share something in them that perhaps they don't want to talk about, because human beings often don't want to show others that there is a weakness to them, especially if they're around their colleagues. But what I'm really interested in is, look, how is the way that you're thinking, how is that affecting how you're feeling, and how are you thinking? How's that affecting how you're feeling, and how you're feeling, how is that affecting your performance? One of the things I talk about quite a bit, because it's something I've trained people all over the world to do, is get up in front of people and speak. It's something I love to do. I've not always been as effective at it as I am now, but I've wanted to get better, and I seriously identify with a better speaker. It's me, but I see myself with bigger audiences, with bigger impact. I see myself connecting with more people. I think about that a lot. I'm giving a part of my brain something that excites me because I want to get better. And when I think about that, I attach a lot of positive emotion to it. I feel really empowered about the person that I am becoming professionally. And you know what? If I don't think about that, I don't feel particularly good about the idea of getting better. We have to attach positive emotion to the person that we want to become. And whether you choose to do this or not is entirely up to you. But if you're not happy with where you are and you don't choose to do very much about it, and you pay lip service to improving yourself, you'll probably end up more frustrated than if you did nothing at all. You just stayed exactly in the same place. And this is what I see so many people do, going through the motions. If you want to reinvent yourself, to make your invention, which is you in the future, and you want to reinvent that so it's better than what you have right now, mentally, physically, emotionally, it's something you're going to dedicate some time to. None of this is rocket science, but you come up against resistance. You come up against resistance from others and resistance from yourself. And this is what I've observed in this room when I've been working with these players. So picture this. The coach has quite clearly said, the goal this season is for us to win the league. That's what he's said. And the first time he said that, I wasn't there. He said it to his staff. Then he said it to his players. And it became pretty evident, like, well, that's a nice idea. But you know what? I don't believe that that's going to happen based on my previous experience, because some of them have never won the league before, and based on their current way of thinking about where they are right now. Now, you could say, well, that's right, In fact, if you go to the bookmaker, and I asked about this yesterday, the odds of this team winning the league are 40-1. So you could say the odds are not in your favor. But when you do what I'm about to suggest, I believe the odds just go out the window. There are no odds. To be able to think greater than your past, to be able to think greater than how you maybe feel, that is where the magic is. And having had the fortune of working with some of the greatest athletes to ever walk the face of the earth, I can tell you with those athletes, this is something they had to work out. Conor McGregor now, who's one of the five most recognizable sports people in the world, and there's lots of stuff with him on talking about this on YouTube. But when he won his first title, someone said, "How do you feel?" And he said, I feel okay, but I don't feel as great as I'm going to feel, because in his mind, he'd actually envisaged doing something that no UFC fighter had ever done before, which is to have 2 belts, to have won 2 different titles. And the fact that he could see it means what? I mean, could any of us do that? Absolutely. Of course we could do it. It's just whether we want to rise up and do things that we haven't done before and convince a part of our brain that something is possible and, dare I say, already real. I mentioned this in some of the previous podcasts we've done about how to create a movie of your life. It was Albert Einstein that said, you know what, reality doesn't exist in the outside world. You create your reality. So anything that you see around you has been created twice. Once in the reality of someone else's head, and then in actuality, and then what you actually get to see. So I'm working with these football players, and I've given them a really powerful meditation that I've used with many people to create incredible success. And you know what? If any of you are listening to this and you want to get your hands on that, we'll put it in our Facebook page. You know, we've got a Facebook page. It's a private page, but it's free. It's just the Pete Cohen podcast. We'll get you a copy of that. You can listen to it. It's 15 minutes. And all I'm asking people to do is to use the power of their brain. Let's just take a slight aside here. In fact, take a deep breath. Yeah, put a big smile on your face. Whoa, say, yeah, I got this. Say this actually. That's like me. Say that with me. Come on. That's like me. Say it out loud or wherever you're podcasting in the world. And once again, I want to thank all of you for listening and sharing and commenting and allowing me to be in your life, allowing me to spend these few moments of my life, with you, being here with you, and maybe being a positive influence in your life. Maybe there's something that you'll take away from this that will empower you. Let me tell you a little bit about the meditation. Let me also tell you about what we're doing with this professional sports team, because I actually believe that, and I know because the coach who he's won championships with other teams, he said to the team, look guys, we have this team, we've got the team. I've never been more excited about the team that we have. We've got the staff, we've got the players, we've got the ability, we can win the league. But it's all very well him saying that if the other players haven't bought into it. Now they've bought into him, which is great, but they've bought into an idea that they have about themselves. They have a particular way of seeing themselves. There is a part of the brain, it's called the reticular activating system. Go and Google it and understand how your brain works. We don't have these massive brains. We have this ability to learn things so that we can then go and learn some other things. Otherwise, if we had to remember how to stand up every time we did it, we'd never get up. If we had to learn how to pick a knife and fork up, if we had to learn a language or anything, if we had to relearn it every single time, there is a part of your brain that is a filter for what you already know, for what you have already seen, for how you already experience the world. You can tell that I'm pretty passionate about this stuff. That's why I talk about it with such intensity. In fact, I have a definition here. To understand what the reticular activating system does, we first have to know what the reticular activating system, or RAS, is. It's a piece of the brain that starts close to the top of the spinal column and extends upwards around 2 inches. It has a diameter slightly larger than a pencil. All of your senses, except smell, which goes to our brain's emotional centers, are wired directly to this bundle of neurons that's about the size of your little finger. Okay, so the function. While it may be a fairly small part of your brain, it's very important. It's the gatekeeper of information that is there to lets information through the conscious mind. The little bit of your brain is responsible for filtering the massive amounts of information your sensory organs are constantly throwing in. So if you have a particular way of seeing things, if you like red cars, chances are there is a part of your brain that will be looking for red cars for you. If you have a particular way of seeing yourself, if you don't like who you are, I mean, look, this often happens. Let me give you an example. If you've ever been in a relationship with someone and it wasn't that great, and you ended the relationship and you said, you know what, I don't ever want to be in a relationship like that again. What your brain tends to do is, rather than looking at for what you would like to have, it looks for what you've already had in the past. We are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly think. So think of it like a bouncer that is outside a nightclub. So the bouncer outside the nightclub, if you came in and you said, right, can I can I come in? And the bouncer says, well, if your name's not down, you're not coming in. Now, if your name isn't on the list, you're not coming in. Now, what is on that list? Everything that you know, everything that you've seen. It's basically who you are. So if someone gives you a new idea and says, hey, look, this is what you need to do, and it's something you've not done before, there's a part of your brain that says, that's not me. I'm not letting that in. This is how I see myself. So I'm standing up in front of all of these players and saying, hey, what I'd like you to do is think about the person that you'd like to become. Now, they have never really thought about that. What they're trying to do is hide their weaknesses, hide how they maybe really think about themselves, and just train hard and work hard and hope that by doing that, they're going to get better. And yes, they will get better to a certain extent, of course. But if you want to take this to a whole new level, whether you're a professional footballer or just an average person living just a day-to-day life, having an idea of the person that you want to be, that takes practice to develop new neurological pathways in the brain. So you start to let in those ideas. That's what people call, by the way, this is what a lot of people call the law of attraction. Your reticular activating system will attract your ways of seeing things. Can you change the way you think? Yeah, of course you can. It takes training. So all I've been asking these people to do is to think about the person that you would like to become. Recently, I watched a documentary about the England cricket team who went from being number 7 in the world to number 1, and they had a coach who basically said, guys, in 2 years, we're going to be the number 1 cricket team. The players didn't believe it at first. But through hard work and dedication, they started to believe that it was possible. Now, I believe you could start that process straight away. To think, who is the person I would like to become? And I actually made some notes here, and there's a couple of things here I really want to share with you, which is to be able to think, what would your life be like? This is what a lot of people call visualization. What would your life be like if you were this better player? For example, thinking about these footballers, many of them will listen to this podcast, I'm sure. What would it be like to be that person? Let's say you in 365 days. What would you see if you were looking at a better version of yourself? Stronger, physically, mentally, emotionally. How would that version of you move through the world? How would they think? How would they react if they got knocked over? How would they react if they had a loss? How would they move through the world? How would they stand? How would they laugh? How would they love? What would it be like for them to pick up that trophy and to be a champion, not just then, but in life and in everything? Now, if you thought about that for the first time, you might feel good, but what would happen if you thought about that constantly over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? I had the fortune of working with an incredible athlete, Sally Gunnell. She won a gold medal in 1992 in the Olympics. In 1993, she broke the world record. And if you watch the footage of her in 1993 when she crossed the line, broke the world record, she didn't know that she'd won and she didn't know that she'd broken the world record. And the part of that was because she had thought about it over and 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 over again for a long time, for a couple of years, so that when she crossed the line, what she had manifested, what she had thought about had come true. Now, can we do that? Can you do that? Of course you can. But there's a part of your brain that's going, no. We don't do that. We'll almost try to reject what it is that you're picturing because you want to hold on to what you know. You want to hold on to who you have become. And some of that's great because who you've become is probably great in many aspects. But many aspects, it's not. And it's only through re-encoding, through reinvention, that you get this opportunity. You've got this opportunity. Don't expect it to be easy. As Jim Rohn once said, a well-known person in the world of personal development, don't wish for things to be easier. Wish you were better. So what do you think would happen if these players every single day took 15 minutes? I mean, you could do it much quicker than that, but in the beginning, the more time you put into this, and they put themselves into a space where they sat down and relaxed. Just going back to that England cricket team example, one of the players, he learned through practicing meditation and mindfulness, that concentration is the lack of irrelevant thought. Irrelevant thought, if you're a football player or any athlete or any person in life, can get you caught, that you can have an irrelevant thought that stops you from making that move. The irrelevant thought of you make a mistake, you get annoyed, you get knocked down, you get up, and the irrelevant thought stops you from being free to do what you need to do next. To work on yourself and say, this is the person that I want to be. Going back to that, being able to identify with the person that you are becoming. Go and Google the word or the etymology of the word identity. The word identity means being. Who are you being? Who are you becoming? And this is the big thing. This is why I'm excited to work with these guys, to continue to work with them, because I want to have a conversation with the person that they're becoming. I want to have a conversation with them, with the person that they can see themselves practicing being, acting out every single day. And whenever they do something that they know is in keeping with the person that they want to be, for them to say, that's like me. That's like me. Say it with me. That's like me. So if, for example, you were someone who wanted to lose weight and you got up and moved a bit more, every time you did that, you should say, that's like me. That's re-encoding. That's developing new neurological pathways. That's like you, that when you're training and you do that extra rep and you go, that's like me. That's like the champion. That's what you get to training 5 minutes earlier than you would normally, and you're the last person to leave. That's like me. The greatest players I've worked with, they all have an identity of someone that they're becoming. Plus, they also have big whys of why they're doing it. It's not just about them. It's not just about money. It's often about inspiring other people and leaving a legacy for other people to follow in your footsteps, for you to be the champion. And the word etymology, the etymology of the word champion means a fighter. This is something you're going to have to fight at, because all of the research shows that the brain doesn't know the difference between something that is real and something that is not. You could think of a real memory, something that has happened, and have the same emotion that you had then. But you could also think of something that hasn't happened yet, and your brain doesn't know that that's real. And what happens if you continue to do it? What do you think would happen? That's like me. You make something real. And if you think about it, what is the difference that's going to make the difference in a team like that? Can you not see that the difference would be that everyone has an ideal of themselves who is better than who they are right now, and that is who they are working hard to becoming? And to be able to talk about it in a way where this is who I'm becoming, and to talk about it with others, so other people can start to see about the person that they're becoming. You know, I think most people don't do this because, I don't know, I think fear, worried about what other people will think. It's the kind of the dumbing down of, look, don't get excited here. Just don't get above your station. Don't wait your whole life for something amazing to happen for you to realize that maybe you can do it. Decide to do it right now inside your head. You know, earlier on today, I was listening to Will Smith, who I have huge amounts of admiration for, and he talks about discipline. And this is a word that a lot of people don't have a positive association for. But why I love that word, and this is how he describes it, it's the discipline to exchange something for something in the future. So most of us give into immediate pleasure, and most of us need the discipline of, rather than the immediate pleasure of looking at Instagram to see if someone has liked or commented on your post, or look at someone else's story, to focus on your story of where your story is going, for the exchange of something that's in the future. This is self-discipline, is basically self-love. Because if you can fall in love with the person that you're becoming, rather than looking for someone else to love you, not that there's anything wrong with that, but people will always feel that there's something missing. Who are you destined to become? I dare you to say, I love the person I'm becoming. Because ultimately, this is how you'll win the war against yourself, to pretend to be this person. When I grew up, there was a program called Mr. Ben. Mr. Ben was a cartoon. He'd go into this shop and talk to the shopkeeper, and he'd go and try on an outfit. It could be a policeman, a fireman. It could be a doctor, a nurse. And he would try it on, and then he'd walk out of the changing room, and then he would be in that world of being a firefighter, and he would try it on. And that's all we got to do. Try it on, 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 until it becomes the person that you know you're capable of being. And maybe even I'll leave you to fill in the gaps. You know, with the Pete Cohen podcast, we are just truly 100% committed to inspiring people just like you every single day to be the very, very best that you can be. If you want to put the odds back in your favor to the point where there are no odds, odds just go out of the window when you start to do this sort of stuff. Why do people do it? That's a really great question. I always say now, well, why not do it? To get addicted to the person that you're becoming. It's estimated by the time we're about 35 years old, 95% of who we are is just a set of conditioned responses, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, that we think who we are is who we're always going to be. No, we can reinvent. Make your invention your reinvention. Let me say that again. Make your invention your reinvention. Don't let your past be a predictable future, because I promise you it will be, unless you decide to change. You'll be exactly the same in a year's time than you are today, perhaps just a little bit more miserable, rather than waking up to the possibility of, look, you're amazing, you're great, you have this capability, I believe in you. And lastly, as we finish this, and if you listen to the meditation I have, the visualization, we'll get it to you, listen to it. The more you do it, the better you'll become at it. The more you'll develop new neurological pathways of the connection of seeing and hearing and feeling. But if you do not attach positive emotion to this, a real positive emotion, and you turn it up and you turn it up and you turn it up and you turn it up, you'll give in. You'll let it go. The more you can be attached to the person you're becoming, because it makes you feel good, and you just recognize all of the little things, the small things, the little things that if you did every single day, that is who you would become. I really, really appreciate you. We love what we do. We love getting this podcast out there. Feel free to like it, to share it. If you want to see what coaching can do for you, go to petecohen.com/coaching. Look, I still coach people from every walk of life. We have some incredible solutions, whether you're a sports person, whether you're an executive, whether you're an everyday person. If you want to see what coaching can do for you, go to petecohen.com/coaching. Go and watch the video on the 3 secrets for creating the life that you want and for you to become the leader that you want to follow. Go and check it out. And you can get on the phone with us. We can talk to you. It could be you. And we can work out where you are, where you need to go, and the best way to get there. A great life doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. Let's design it together, and let's make your invention your reinvention every single day. Thank you so much for listening. Big love to you all, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you want to find out what life coaching can do for you with me, Pete Cohen, then simply visit petecohen.com/coaching and book a free strategy call, and we can help you find out exactly what it is that you want and help you put a plan in place to create the future that you want today.